Hey, it's Tori Magoo, 44, and today is the 15th of September. It's halfway through September. We're almost, pretty soon we'll be in October, I think, unless we are in October. I think we are in October. You're right. January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Oh my God. It's hard to keep up with it. It really is. Time just seems like it's like zooming along. So anyway, hello. My name is Tori Christman. I was in the Church of Scientology for 30 years. 30. I woke up, I got in 1969. People say, how could you be in something for 30 years like this? Hey, this, that, and the other. Hi, Bridge. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for coming on. People say, how could you be in something for this long? But there was no internet in 1969. Not until really 2000 was there, maybe the 90s, was there access to the internet. Hi, Unstoppable SP. Hi, Justice. Thank you for coming by. Hi, Lolo. So, good evening. And so it was a different time. And there wasn't access. Hey, JB808, there wasn't access to all the information you guys have now. So stuff that you guys know just innately back then, when you get in, it's just brand new. It's like knowledge report. What's that? And they're like, oh, we'll explain it to you. It's sort of like everything is as it needs to be told to you. And of course, all the bad things, they never tell you until it happens. Hi, Christian. It's good to see you guys. It really is. I'm happy you came by. We just got back from the store. We went to Costco, my son and I. So anyway, good times. Now, before I get started, do any of you guys have any questions regarding our last few interviews or any comments? And if you don't, that's okay. Hi, Professor Kakan. I'm going to interview Alex in London on Monday night, but it's going to be, normally I'm 8 o'clock, but because of our time differences, it's going to be 11 o'clock, our time. And it'll be 7 in the morning for him the next day. So that's how we're working that. And I'm just trying to warn you guys so you kind of put it on your calendar because I want to have a good amount of people there for him. It's going to be exciting. They're having the IAS event, and I think it's there in London. At least he's doing a bunch of stuff on it, so we'll see. I know. I think it'll be good. Hi, Tori. I found an old 7-page knowledge report I wrote on a good friend, Bonnie Griffith. It was hysterical for both of us to read together. I know they're pretty funny now, but when you're in, they're very serious. It's like very important information. So let me explain a knowledge report first of all, for anyone who doesn't know. Yeah, I know. Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kakan. He said that Ishmael, the talk with him was great. I thought it was very great too. I've known him for years, but it was so educational. I loved it too. Hi, Eric. It's been a long time. I was logged out of my YouTube for months. I finally logged back in and love from Culver City, California. My parents say hi. All right, tell them I said hi too. I've been wondering about you. How you doing? That's right. Apostate Alex at 11 p.m. on the 20th. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. So that should be good. That's going to be really good. And it took us a little bit to juggle the time, but we worked it out and he's fine on that. So that's good. Okay, so back to knowledge reports. A knowledge report is part of their brainwashing. They, of course, don't tell you that. And it's part of keeping Scientology working. When you first get in, you have to check out on keeping Scientology working. And it's many, many steps that you have to basically make sure that not only you are doing everything right, but everyone around you is doing everything right per the policy or the technology that you're studying. And so let's say if I see Professor Kakan and I go, he's not doing it right. And I found out he's actually intentionally doing it wrong. So then you've definitely got to write it up. So you write it up to ethics. It's called a knowledge report. You've got to have the date, the name, and who, your name, who's writing it, his name, who it's about. And then you put the time, place, form, and event. So what happened, what was the form, kind of what it was, time, place, form, and event. And then what happened, actually what happened. And you send it in to ethics and you send the person a copy of it. Now they can write into ethics and write their response. I had a funny thing where I had a friend who was sort of a knowledge report fiend, where I knew if you started a knowledge report on her, it would always end. She had the last say. That was it. And one of my other friends, it's a long story, but one of our other friends was going to write a knowledge report on her. And I said, look, I'm just going to warn you, she will not stop until she wins. And she said, okay, I'm writing it up anyway. So she wrote her up. And it went on and on. I think it started in October. They went camping and she wrote a knowledge report on it. Because the person, anyway, I don't want to get into it. But anyway, she wrote a knowledge report. It went on and on and on and on. I think in May, she called me and she said, okay, I quit. That's it. That is it. Hi, June. Okay, so in 8 years, I never wrote a KR or had one written on me. Some verbal lies about me got me in trouble, though. Okay. Yeah, I had the main person that wrote knowledge reports about me never knew me, never met me, never came over to my house and saw what I was doing, because I was teaching my son at home the Doman tech, which I explained to a bunch of you before. Are you rewarded in Scientology for writing up more knowledge reports? No, it's not that. You're not. It's just expected that you would make sure to keep everybody on the path to total freedom, right? And this is supposed to help them. So that's how they pitch it. Like this will help everyone. It will help us, and it will help your friend, and it will help you. So it's like everyone is in ethics and doing the right thing, which nothing could be farther from the truth. But that's what they say. So now let's look at that versus hope, that's really what they get you in with, which is what in your life could be better. And everyone's got something. So it's like it's usually either finances, relationships, communication. I think that's it. Money, relationships, communication, jobs, kind of those areas. There may be some other things, family, but those are the main ones. And so let's say they say, I'm really shy and I can't communicate very well. Okay, well, there's a really good chance. They used to say Scientology can handle that, but they don't say that anymore. I think they got sued enough times. So now they say, well, there's a good chance we could help you with that. Why don't you come in? And see, once they get you in, it's like, that's why I call it the Scientology Truman Show, because once you're in the show, you start to be blindsided. They do love bombing, which is where they just throw so much love at you. I mean, imagine 300 people going, JB808, you have come to the right place. This is the greatest thing on earth. We're so lucky you came too. And you're like, really? Like, oh, definitely. We were looking for someone like you. In fact, you do X, Y, and Z, right? And you go, yeah. And they go, that's the exact person we were looking for. And then they talk to some other people and they go, weren't we just saying we need X, Y, and Z? Here he is. And you're kind of like, wow, you start really feeling special. Like there must be something really good here. And I'm part of it. So and then they offer hope, which is you say, yeah, but I'm really shy in this one area and I have a hard time with it, talking to people and stuff like that. And they go, but our communication course will help you with that. And that's all the way up the bridge to total freedom, which is a triangle going up, up, up. It really goes down, down, down into a ditch, but you don't know that. And no one around you can talk about anything negative about it. So everyone is very hopeful all the time. This is working for me, even if it isn't. They can't say it. JP808, I'm flattered. Where do I sign? Good one, JP808. Okay, so Marcy said, oops, fell asleep, but I'm here, y'all. Hey. Wake up. Hi, Moose on the Loose. All right. You're awake now. Good. Good. So that's basically the two key things that, there's a lot of things that they use, but being a public, because I know most people hear and see things about the Sea Org. So they kind of think everyone in Scientology is in the Sea Org, which is not true. It's like the Sea Org is like a group of people that originally Hubbard had on the ship to help run the ship and help, basically help him. And then the rest of it is Scientology, that, the Sea Org is supposed to get in new people and then help run the organizations. And that's what they do. But they're full-time, 24/7. Public have a regular job. They usually have their own house or apartment. They have kind of a regular life. It's different than Sea Org for sure. Very different. But they have their own mind control and traps that Scientology works on the public. Same as with the Sea Org. It's a different drill, but it's the same kind of stuff where, you're always obligated to them and we've got to get you on your next level and you've got to pay for it. And you're like, I don't have the money. And they're like, well, what do you know? Here's Joe, and you can work with Joe on this multi-level marketing program that we know will work. And they'll take any scam anywhere, anytime, and get into it. You'll find Scientologists, any scam, anywhere, they'll be in it. Somebody, they will. One of the guys, I think it was Super Blue Green Algae, and that's a multi-level marketing company. And the guy at Flag was on OT7, and the girl that was the top producer of Super Blue Green Algae joined Scientology. And that guy scooped her up and married her within, I don't know, a couple of months. And of course, he went from nothing to a millionaire because she was very wealthy from being a top producer in Super Blue Green Algae. But, you just think, of course, there's going to be these OTs that get in there. Now, let me see. Hang on. My lighting's a little weird tonight. I'm writing a KR on you, Kelly. That's a good point. You should write a KR. I actually had someone who wrote KRs on me almost repetitively. And I finally went in and told the ethics guy, I said, I'm not going to answer these. And I'm not even taking it up. This person doesn't even know me. And after I left Scientology, I went to a party and that person was there and still telling people about how wrong I was in Scientology for what I was doing, which was helping teach my son. That was it. It was like, how bad can it be? And Professor Kakan says, I have under the radar family that I don't want to get harassed by OSA. Tori lost her still in family. No, I just lost my husband. That's it. Just so you know, my parents were never in. His parents were in, but that's a whole different story. And he stayed in. So I lost him. My son is out. And so he's the only person that I actually lost. But many, many people do lose their families. And I totally respect that you don't want to, get them on the radar. Okay, Eric says, sorry, my eyes are really weird. I don't know what happened to my eyes. It's weird. Did you have hope that you wanted to leave Scientology and have a better life? No, I was really in the Truman Show. They have people who write about cults write about true believers, and I was a true believer. I was in it. I quit college, hitchhiked from Chicago to LA to become a Dianetic auditor. I, as I've told you guys, but if anybody's new here, I originally wanted to be a doctor. My grandfather was a doctor, and I liked what he did. So I thought, okay, I'll do that. And I got in college and I just thought, there is no way I'm going to make it through 4 years of medical school, 4 years of graduate school, internship. It was just too long a runway for me. And so somebody gave me a Dianetics book, and I thought, and that's what cult experts say, no one joins a cult. Cults find you. And that's what happened. These kids from high school came and found me, gave me the Dianetics book, and they said, oh, no, you can keep it. Just read it. And I read 3 chapters about helping people get clear, which at the time my head was in the sand and I believed him. And so I had an argument with my dad, quit college, and hitchhiked from Chicago to LA to become a Dianetic auditor. So that was the only thing I really wanted to do. I had hope that I could help other people being a Dianetic auditor. Now, when I joined the Sea Org and they found out they knew I had epilepsy, because you have to put that on your whole life form, which is everything in the world that you've ever done. But once I ran out of my medicine, I said, look, I have to get a refill on my medicine. And they said, medicine? And that started the whole, you've got to handle you, Tori. You've got to get rid of epilepsy, and then you can come back in the Sea Org. And so my hope, I've always worked on helping people. I always have. And I've helped people way more being out than I ever could when I was in. So that was kind of a joy. But I didn't really have a big hope of leaving Scientology ever. It was just the things that were weird got weirder. And it was like, this is weird. But you're not able to talk to anyone about this is weird. And they go, yeah, it is weird. So you're just kind of thinking, I don't know. I listened to a lot of music that helped me wake up. I watched movies. The Truman Show helped me a lot. The Counting Crows helped me a lot. Dolly Parton helped me at Christmas time. Don't forget to hit the like button. That's right, Marcy. Thank you. And Kelly mentions that I have membership packages. That's true, which are $2.99 a month. And then you become a member. And that helps support it. I have to pay $53.95 a month for this StreamYard thing, and which is a lot. Even Bunkers is way less than that. I don't know why they charge me so much, but I don't know how to get it less. I think he got it earlier on. Anyway, it helps if you become a member, because it helps support me and keep the site going. Dolly Parton, yeah. I listened to probably Joy to the World, her singing Joy to the World at Christmas time, maybe 1,000 times. I am a person who will listen to things and watch movies over and over and over if I like them. And I listened to that one over and over and over, and all of a sudden something snapped. I was like in my cult Tory, and then all of a sudden it all just blew apart for a minute. And I remembered me as a little kid out on a stage. They kind of pushed me out on the stage, and I was like, joy to the world. It was just a little kid, but so much hope at that time. It was like, it's joy to the world. And it really brought me back in time. But that can really help people kind of unjoggle the matrix. So anyway, that was my Dolly Parton thing. Most class 5 staff get by financially only by having moonlight jobs, right? Or better yet, have a well-to-do spouse for a live-in main squeeze. True. Do you think you can remember everything from the time you were in Scientology, Tori? Me? Can I remember everything in Scientology? No. No, not by any means. Why? Is there something you want me to remember that you're thinking of? Or why? You know that, I mean, can you remember everything in your life, Justice? Can you remember every day in your school from kindergarten on up to through high school? It's just most people can't. I can't even remember yesterday. Exactly. It's kind of like, really? Can I remember everything? No, but I can remember a lot of stuff. I do, but certainly not everything. I think like most of us, you remember key things that really affected your life. And that's why I always say to people, you never know when you can touch someone's heart, and change their life. I mean, I've had so many people since I escaped out help me in little ways, but they majorly helped me. Professor Kakan says, joy to the world, as in Jeremiah was a bullfrog by 3 night. No. Maybe you have blackouts. I have. Maybe. No. I don't think I have blackouts anymore. I did before I had my grand mal seizure at 18. And that's what kicked it in. But no, I don't now. Are you on medicine, Justice? Do you take medicine for epilepsy or blackouts? See, I definitely do. I take medicine every day, and it controls it. So there you go. Which was a big thing for Scientologists. They cannot handle that at all, in or out. Ex-Scientologists have called me up and said, you have to get off your medicine. And I'm like, pardon me? And I feel like Will when they said, get off our block. It's like, pardon me? Janet from another planet. Hi, girl. How are you? It's good to see you. Thank you for coming. I love that nickname. Sieglin, hi. The Dianetics book claims that a clear person can recall any moment of their life of any time. And if you've listened to any of my videos, you know that I say, I don't know one clear, not one. Even a couple of people that I dearly loved, and they're positive they're clear. But in my world, no. Not for the original definition. The original definition, which is what I stick by, and that's a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, and no pains. And maybe that one person does, but I really don't think so. I think Jason Begay is the best person to listen to. Google Jason Begay and clear. He says it the best. Thank you, Janet. Everything's doing well with me, and we're rolling into winter here, so it's getting chilly at night. But I like that. I'm ready for winter. I am. Even though I have on my summer, this is one of my, isn't this cute? I just bought this before, and then it got cold. That's why I have on a t-shirt underneath it. Clear doesn't sound possible. Exactly. I mean, they kept changing it so that people would think it was possible. No, I have PTSD, I think you mean. But I thought maybe because of the potential brainwashing, you can have blackouts, but luckily not. No. No, they would just say I was PTS if I was having blackouts. They said I was PTS when I was having grand mal seizures. And now that I'm declared suppressive, how does that work? I still have epilepsy. Who's the SP on my lines? Well, it's somebody, Tori. It is. Okay, so Justice. Did you mean PTSD when you said PTSS, or what is PTSS? because that's what you type. But I think it's a typo. Justice. Anyway, you're right. It's now the brainwashing. I worked hard on stripping that off 10 years before I escaped out. I was reading books, not, okay, PTSD, yeah. Not against Scientology. I was going into libraries and bookstores and getting self improvement books and religions and philosophy and just anything I could read. I'd open it up, look at it. If it seemed cool, I bought it. And I honestly think it kind of helped me strip off the mind control that had been built into me. Just a little bit at a time, but it definitely helped. Beware when you get a colonoscopy, you can get a medicine to relax you. You get so relaxed, you have no memory of the procedure. I was talking with a doctor and nurse. Next, I am in the recovery room. I think that's standard. I don't think that's something to be aware of. It's, they put you out. That's what they do. Same thing happened to me and everyone I know who's had one. They said count back to 10 or from 10 to 0. So I went 10, 9, 8, and I said, and there were a whole bunch of doctors around the table. And I said, I really don't think this is working on me. And the next thing I knew, it was one nurse standing next to the table. And I opened my eyes and I said, where is everybody? And she said, they're gone. It's done. Get up. And I was like, wow, that was amazing. So anyway, I wouldn't be aware of it, but I'm pro-medicine. So I don't have any fears of it. I think you can over-medicate, obviously. But if a doctor, that's a standard procedure for a colonoscopy. Janet from another planet. That's right, Professor Kakan. They say it's not anesthesia, but I was out and wouldn't have it any other way. Not groggy or anything. Yeah, me too. It was like, one of my friends said, well, I'm going to stay awake through the whole thing. And I was like, and you do that. It was like, not me. I don't want to be awake during that. Hi, Valerie. Comment, it's a twilight medication for a colonoscopy. It's easier to wake up. Yeah, exactly. Like it's not really heavy where it takes hours and you have to do certain things to be able to go home. They did not tell me I would have no memory of it. And you wanted to have a memory of it? Bong, bong, boom. Janet. Okay, well, there you go. You can go on YouTube and watch somebody else getting a colonoscopy, and then maybe it'll twig your memory and you'll be very happy that now you know what happened to you. Me? No, thank you. But that's it. Every person's different. Thank God for that. So is there anyone else here on the channel that's ever written a knowledge report or went into Scientology and had hope thinking something would get fixed or you could fix others? Professor Kakan, what got you to get in? They don't want you to remember they were up your butt. Yeah. Tori, hello. I really enjoyed your channel and all of your wisdom. Thank you. I appreciate that. Kenani, thank you. Are you from Hawaii? That name sounds like it. I wanted to know what they were doing to me. Well, you can watch on YouTube. They have all kinds of stuff on YouTube. You can look it up and watch somebody else's colonoscopy, and then you'll know. They do the same thing for everybody, pretty much. So, But thank you, Kanani. Am I saying it right? Kanani? Anyway, thank you for your kind words. I appreciate it. All right, now this is PHX Book Girl. All right, good evening. I like books. I'm kind of a pen and book fiend. Those are my two hobbies. I'm actually a Valley girl. All right, well, we should get together. I'm in Burbank. And guess what? Here is, here it is. There's my phone number. You can text me and then we'll get together. And that if I take it off of here, which I will, you can always find it. Just go under Tori Magoo 44 and it says for more information and you click on that and all those links are there. But definitely PHX girl, wow, book girl. Wow. Hi, Marcy and PHX. Hi, Mark. Look very nice in that blue. Thank you. I know it's kind of funny. It's maybe my new color, blue. I like blue. This year I've been liking it. You look very nice. Thank you, Janet. Dad got me into Scientology at age 10. Wow. In 1965. Way out in the field. Wow. That's unbelievable at age 10. And so your dad had been in, was he in the 50s? He got in, like that's what my husband's parents were in the 50s. Okay. Dad got me into Scientology at 10 in 1965. Okay. Way out in the field. Okay. Okay, awesome. I didn't see it, but I still am looking forward to it. You didn't see the number? All right, let me show you. Here it is. Here, and you go down here. There you go. Boom, there it is. That's my tax number. But you can also donate there too if you want to. Anyway, it's on there under Tori Magoo 44 in the main page, and then it says for more information on Tori, and you click on that, and it should be out there. I took a late nap and got up. LOL. It's going to be a late night. Oh, okay. Why is it a late night? Because you took a nap, probably, right? In 1954, he started reading Hubbard. Yeah, they got it in 1950. It was a hot thing back then. It was very popular. It was a different era than now. And people were looking for answers. And it looked like, it sounded like it had answers. It did. I'll tell you, I really enjoyed hearing Ish on all that information. It was just shocking for me because I've been along for the ride with that, and it was really surprising to see, wow, how much longer they'd been doing this. I mean, from Jonestown, that was really surprising. If you missed that talk, take time to listen to it. It's long, but it's good, and you can scoot it along if you want. There you go. Yeah, I thought so too, Kelly. I really did. I've listened to it a couple of times because I learned a lot from it. Really did. Surprised. I knew Ish knew a lot of stuff, but I was really surprised. And you can also search him on Google, and he has a lot of other things he's talked about. But hopefully we'll get him back again. He said he really enjoyed it too. Jinx Kelly. Take care, Moose. All right, you're on the loose again. You all have a fantastic night. I'll catch up with you on the replay. Got a big day tomorrow. Okay, well, have a wonderful big day tomorrow. And remember, you're moose on the loose. It's always fun when you have different people and different lives and you get to touch into them. It's amazing. I heard from Heart Healer 44, and she sent me a thing saying hi to all of you and that she's better. She's apparently been getting some surgery and she's now better and going back to work. Thank you for endlessly telling us about Scientology. Tori, it's so extremely important. Respect. Thank you, Justice. I never know when I'm saying too much, or if you feel like I am, you can always tell me. Just send me a little note and say, it would really help if you said, this is what I really hope you talk about. Whatever some things are, rather than don't say this, because one person might not like it, but another person might. Malevolent Queen. All right. Hey, Tori, I've finally made it live again. Woohoo. All right. There you go. Good. Well, welcome back. So I think the hope thing is an area that not a lot of people talk about, because Scientology has gotten so creepy and weird, and the dark side has been exposed so much that it's hard to even think of it as an area where you would go into with hope, hoping that you'd get some help. But that's actually how they get a lot of people in. It really is. Queen. Okay, Professor Kakan comment, everything is said that I was familiar was 100% accurate. Of the new things I did not have personal knowledge of sounded too incredible, but Ish has established his credibility. Yeah, he's really good at backing up what he says, and I love that. JB808, I don't mind when you tell the same story multiple times. I usually take away something new that I missed the first time. There's always someone hearing your story for the first time. Thank you, JB808. I appreciate that, and many people have told me that. So I think you're absolutely right. Sieglin Tori, your contributions are and always have been very valuable, interesting, and valuable. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Marcy says, JB, yes. All right, and Valerie Watkins comment, I was remembering the nightly pickets in front of Big Blue the summer before, where people camped out. That was such an exciting time. It really was. It's too bad it all went to hell, because it was a very fun time. And I think if they'd stuck to the barbecues and not taken over that whole block, because I knew as soon as that happened, I said, this is not going to happen. This is not going to last. I know Scientology too well. There's like no way. You're not going to go, oh, okay, you take the whole block at the end of our complex. No. Don't people in Scientology feel alone when they can't share their thoughts and concepts and questions with others in Scientology? No, because it's part of the brainwashing that you are going to keep any N theta, which is bad news, which is actually the facts that they can't talk about, but you're going to keep any of that off of their line so they have a more streamlined ability to go free. See, it's how they twist it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And you don't want to, I wouldn't want to stop you from getting free. So it's sort of like, okay, yeah, I can see that. And you can talk about tons of other stuff. You just can't talk about anything negative about Scientology. Let's see. Does that answer it, Bridge? Did that help you at all? If it didn't, ask me again. Zippy, all right. Question: do you think there might be some overlap between Scientology and Christian pros- prosperity theology? Prosperity. Mm, I don't know. I don't know Christian prosperity theology, so you'd have to define that a little bit better. But I think there's crossovers in Scientology and all kinds of stuff. Hubbard stole stuff from all kinds of religions, all kinds of philosophies, other authors. My friend and his partner spent 10 years tracing every single piece of technology, from wherever Hubbard said it was, and he wrote it, down to the original source. And every single piece of technology had an earlier source. Not L. Ron Hubbard. So, no doubt there's something, but not much, I wouldn't say. Having been a Scientologist, they think anybody who's having sickness or problems or anything is PTS, potential trouble source, or they're a downstat. They call them downstats, where their statistics are down, they're worthless. Don't waste time with them. I'm not even going to get into all the stuff they say, but it's gross. So I don't think there's much, but I wasn't really a Christian. I was raised a Catholic. So there's not much crossover in Scientology and Catholicism. But I don't think there is with any of the religions. I remember Scientology saying to me, we need to be thought of as a real religion. So we're going to go to these other religions and we're going to tell them, you need to stick with us. Because you see all these people protesting us? Well, they're going to come protest you next if you don't help us. That's a fact. That's a true statement that someone said to me from OSA. And I went, okay. It was sort of like, good luck on that one. Antics, hi. My YouTube is acting up, but I wanted to go in and say hello at least. Well, hello, and thank you. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate it. And Eric said, wait a second. Oh, I lost you. Eric, where'd you go? Thank you for popping in Antics of a Mama Squirrel. Okay, here's Eric's. Tomorrow would have been Angela Lansbury's 100th birthday. I love her on Murder, She Wrote. That's my favorite show. I love it. Well, the great thing about it is there are reruns that are going to be played forever. I watch a lot of those old shows. I do. I love watching Johnny Carson. I know it's corny, but I think the thing about Carson that was great is that he loved helping artists become great. He really enjoyed that. He enjoyed they becoming successful. And it was fun for me to watch someone do that. I thought it was, well, how cool is that? It really was. And he's very funny too. Professor Kakan, if you don't mind saying, the night you escaped, how old was your son and where was he then? I do mind it. I told you before, you've asked me a few times about my son, and it's like, this is not his story. If he wants to tell you about it, he will. It doesn't really matter. And I don't want to give the Office of Special Affairs any more information than they already have. So that's it. I told him when I left, I said, this is my thing, and I won't be talking about you. And he said, thank you. He appreciated it. So, I try to keep that in. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter as far as anything. He has a good life and it's out of Scientology. And that's really, as far as I'm concerned, as his mother, that's all that matters. is that he's happy and doing great and a wonderful kid. Zippy, I hear that Eric and hi you. It's been a minute since our paths met. And Marcy said, Antics High, and I've heard others on different channels say that their YouTube was messing up. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But it's good to know it isn't just her. Question. Do Scientologists think you could be an animal in your past life? I have no idea. Scientologists come up with all kinds of stuff. I told you that I think the first month I was there, I met two, not one. I met Julius Caesar, and then I met another guy at a different booth in a Denny's that said, I had a great session. And I said, what happened? And he said, I realized I was Julius Caesar. And I thought, it was like the Homer Simpson bubble of like, bullshit. How can you be Julius Caesar when I just met him? And then I just thought, that's when the closet started. It's like, you know what? I'm going to think about this tomorrow. I'm going to put it in the closet for now. So I don't know about the animals, but probably. If your friends and family are Scientologists and your son are not allowed to show your real emotions, how can you stay emotionally strong? They never say you're not allowed to show your emotions. So I don't know where you're getting that from, but it's not from me. You can, of course, show your emotions. I said you can't be negative about Scientology, but you can show your emotions. Of course you can show your emotions. How can you stay emotionally strong? You just do what you do. You get along. Everybody does it differently, and you get along the way you get along. But for anybody lurking and listening, you don't have to stay in there. That's the thing that you don't know, is that the nearest door, the way out is the nearest door. And L. Ron Hubbard says the way out is the way through. That's part of the keeping Scientology working. The way out is the way through, meaning you have to keep on the bridge to total freedom, right? But the truth is, did he? No, he left. He died. That's it. And so after that, I realized, okay, so the way out is the nearest door. That's what he did. He took the nearest door. He was gone. He's not coming back. You can say he's coming back. No. It's already been way too many years for him to come back. If he was coming back, he would have. So I think you can be emotionally strong. Thank you, Zippy. And Bridge, thank you. I'm glad. Thank you for letting me know. Valerie, comment, it's prosperity gospel. The more they give to the church, they are told God will give them more. They don't have God in Scientology. So they don't have that kind of thing. They should, because it's a good little con. The more you give to the church, the more God will help you. But they don't have God. So theirs is just, you've got to get up the bridge to total freedom. And if you can't get up there, you're never going to be totally free. The fact is, and this is for anybody lurking, I was on OT7 for 7 years and it never worked. My husband was on it he is OT8. A lot of OT8s I met are really screwed up. It is not the bridge to total freedom. I can say that 100%, having met way too many screwed up people or known people who've taken unalive themselves because of it. And it's you'd be way better to just go to the library. It's free, and they have a lot of good stuff in there. I hope they find their footing soon. Yep. Okay, Zippy, Valerie, summarized prosperity theology nicely. Okay, good. I got questions. All right. I'll start with this. Why do you think the government doesn't investigate deeply into the credit fraud and elderly abuse and children being married underage? Much love. Okay, I can answer that. When I early escaped out, I met up with Jesse Prince, Stacy Brooks, and Bob Minton. They had started the Lisa McPherson Trust in honor of people trying to get their families back together. And we went to a cult conference in 2000. And here are all these ex cult members telling their stories, and they're just awful stories. And we're there for 3 days. And the third day, everybody's in a room. I mean, it was unbelievable to hear these stories anyway. Everybody I met, I'd say, you were in this SEAL, right? And they'd say, no, Church of Christ, or some other cult. And I was like, wow, it was so amazing to see how they have such similar actions that they all do, right? So again, I'm kind of having a thought like you. How can this possibly go on? Okay, so now we go into this huge room, and these two little girls are in the front. They're like 13, maybe they were 15 by then, but they're young girls. And they said, we were locked in barrels in our cult in Ohio for 2 weeks. We weren't allowed to get out. They threw food in for us. It was just God awful hearing it. You could hear a pin drop in the room. Everyone was just stunned. And I said to Stacy, kind of like you, like, how could this go on in the United States of America, in Ohio? How could this happen? It was hard to believe. And she said, Tori, this country was founded on freedom of religion and freedom of speech and freedom of religion. So they're very protective of religion because that's part of our Constitution. That's what our country was founded on. Granted, you and I know they're not really a religion, but they have the title of the Church of Scientology. They are listed as a religion. So you and I know they have abuses that the government should take up. But do they? No, not yet. I still think it'll happen, but I think it's a matter of enough public exposure over and over and over. And then, like now, Audit LA and Will have been going down to the city council and talking to them here in LA. And now Audit LA told me, she goes, they can't do anything to you anymore, Tori. I mean, they can never do anything to you, really. But now they used to always come over and harass us and say, you can't go here and you got to get out of here and all this stuff. You can't walk on the sidewalk. And, they had all kinds of shit. But she's taken it all up. And finally, she found the button that got them. They're underpaid. They don't get minimum wage. And that's against the law. So now they don't come near us. Drew and I went and sat right next to one of their big parties a couple of weeks ago, and they didn't do anything. And so it's like you never know who's going to come up with something that might really change the picture. But it'll happen. It's a slow process because of our country. And Zippy says, just realized Marcy was saying hi. Okay, that's a hello thing. Professor Khan's talking to 49. Oh, God. See, Glenn. Have you lived before this life? Not trying to promote Scientology books. Might get it for less or free somewhere. Yeah, you can get a lot of books on eBay for nothing. I want to be a cat in a good home in my next life. I thought that too, Janet, but then I realized, nah. I mean, I had that for a long time. I thought I'll just be a cat. But now I really think my friend Mystic, who now just passed away, but we both kind of, and a bunch of my friends feel like we feel like there's lessons that you need to learn while you're here. And if you learn the lessons when you die, then you can move up to another level to something else rather than coming back to planet Earth. If you don't learn the lessons, you're back here to do the same stuff again. That's what we think. I don't blame you. YouTube was glitching a lot. Oh, too bad. I didn't know that. Question: would you say Scientologists are happy people on a daily basis? It's hard to tell. I would say, yeah, I would. In general, they are. Not the Sea Org, because I wasn't in the Sea Org, but for public, certainly if they have jobs they like, yeah, they're relatively happy. Are they really, really happy? It's hard to tell because they all act like they're really, really happy because that's how Scientology is. But I don't know. It's a hard one to say, but I think in general they are. But it wouldn't be enough to go through all the shit that you have to go through. That's how I feel. It must have been tough not to have been able to trust anyone, worrying about someone. Not really. I mean, if you live a good life, like Andreas, I had parties when I left. I had like 14 years of parties, and I'd have them about once a month. And one time somebody came in and they said, Tori, Osa could be coming in here and putting cameras in your house. You don't know. And I said, oh, you're right. So I called up Andreas in Norway, and Andreas started laughing. And I said, what? And he said, Tori, you and I lead pretty clean lives. So if they want to plant cameras in our house and they want to watch us, if they want to watch us walking around in our underwear, that's their problem, not ours. And I never forgot it because I thought it's really true. So it wasn't tough. I had very high trust in everyone. And I never worried about somebody writing a KR on me. I just didn't. I mean, I lived my life. If they wanted to write a KR on me, they could. Like that lady wrote a KR on me, I think, every week. And I just said to the ethics officer, I don't give a shit until she comes to my house, meets me, confronts me, says it to my face, watches what I'm doing, knows what she's talking about. It's BS. And he said, you're right. And that was that. Isn't there something in Scientology about emotion where if you show too much emotion, you are reprimanded for it? I don't know the term. HENR. Oh, human emotion. Yeah, that's where someone like overreacts. Like let's say you're upset at work and all of a sudden you just kind of flip out. I mean, it's too much HENR, human emotion and reaction, for the situation. That doesn't mean you can never be upset, but it depends on the situation. So yeah, there is a term for it though, when it's too much. But that doesn't mean it's always too much. It just means it's, in certain situations. Question: do you think Scientology will shut down in the near future? I don't really know. I hope so. I like that concept. I do. I don't really know. I know that they're dwindling massively, and what they were when I was in compared to what they are now are night and day difference already. So I'm really happy with it. But whether it shuts down completely or not, I don't know. HENR, yes, human emotion and reaction. Thank you, Sieglin. Yeah, but Scientology has a metaphorical God such that the church tells its members the more they donate, the closer they get to what the church calls. No, that is not true. You show me the reference for that. The only reference regarding God is the eighth dynamic. And Hubbard says, whatever you believe that to be, there you go. It's a supreme being, whatever you believe that to be. But they don't say anything about your money is going to help you closer to God. They don't believe in God. So, no, that is not true. And I'm sorry if I get snippy on it, but it's sort of like when someone says, this is true, well, then bring the reference so you can read us the reference and prove me wrong. I might be wrong, but in 30 years of being in it, I'm a trained class 4 auditor. I was on OT7 for 7 years. I never heard him talk about God, not ever. No. So maybe I was on a different boat. Okay, Sieglin, right. Okay, Janet from another planet says Sieglin. Oh, H&R, what it is. Yeah, exactly. That is it. You cannot cry or process. That's not true, first of all. You cannot cry or process a death the way you wish to talk about everything you want to. So I don't think people should show their real emotions. Were you in Scientology, Justice? Pardon me. It's hard for me to keep up with who was and who wasn't. But I cried a lot when I was in Scientology. I cried at movies. I cried if somebody died. You know, I saw a lot of people cry. I mean, it's a real emotion. It's actually weird to not cry when you think about it. So I know people say that, but it's just it. They can use it. They can say it's a misemotion, where you're someone who's crying all the time is, it's HENR. It's human emotion and reaction that doesn't fit the situation. But I didn't see. I guess I saw a few people like that, but not many. Not many. Okay, Justice. I mean, could show. You cannot cry or process a death. We should talk about should show their real emotions. I mean, could show. Oh, I see. You don't mean they should show, but I don't think people could show their real emotions. Well, for certain things, I think you're right. I mean, like me being on OT3 and going, what? This is a bunch of shit. But then look what happened. In my own mind, did they change it? No, I changed it. And I went, well, doctors don't know what causes seizures. Maybe this is it. And I really tried it. And I thought I was winning at it. I really did. I really believed I was erasing epilepsy. I know it sounds really stupid to people that can think at all, but when you're in a cult, you hear all kinds of weird stuff anyway. So it was just another thing. Kanangini, thank you for answering my question. Yeah, the payroll is a big deal. When they arrested Aaron, they said that Aaron assaulted an employee security guard. Big no, thank goodness. We'll see what happens on it. Yeah, it's never good to assault anybody, in my opinion. It's just like it's never going to end up good. Certainly not Scientology. They're looking for that, and they hope it happens. Sounds super Buddhist, but different. Yeah, it is, Zippy. I was into Buddhism before Scientology, so it kind of fit for me. Hey, Tori and Chad. Hi, Connie B. Justice, like and subscribe. Yes, please do. And also you can support in any way with PayPal, Venmo, Cash App. Anyway, thank you for posting those two different links, Kelly. I appreciate it. And I appreciate both you and Marcy being my moderator. They are very good. They're really good. I love that. Hey, Lauren. Now here's Zippy. The protest videos I've seen look like they're not doing great. Always always looking happy. Well, I'm sure there's a little bit of a glitch in it if Aaron was arrested. That's I gotta go watch that. I missed it. Okay. I was doing my best to speak metaphorically. You're good, Zippy. You didn't fail. You can't fail here. All right, now let's see. Zippy said he failed. I got to get back to that. And he's apologizing. Don't apologize. What? I don't get what you failed at. The protest videos you've seen, that wasn't a failure. Let me look up here. Super Buddhist, that's correct. Oh, I gotcha. About not being able to cry. I don't think you failed. It's just I don't know if you totally understand the emotional tone scale and how, different people experience different emotions on that tone scale. Um, but I think you're right to some degree. They can't show real emotions. Like they can't show, I mean, I did, but I think some people feel suppressed and you can't really talk about your OT levels, and it not working and stuff like that. That's suppressed. You did fine, Zippy. Don't worry about it. The more you donate, the bigger medals you get from IRS. Yes, that's true. Now, Professor Kakan is right on that. That's what you get. It has nothing to do with God, but you do get bigger medals and bigger certificates, right? The more money you donate. Uh, Giving you 5 suggestions that you can achieve eternal life, able to operate even without a physical body. The big lie. Am I right? Giving you, Scientology suggests that you can achieve eternal life, able to apparently even with, yeah, you're right. Yeah, because and that, and that's a real negative when you realize how creepy they are. Like people die all the time in Scientology. And I know what it is. They just think, I'll drop my body. I know the 17 kids who've unalived themselves. Well, they figured, all right, I'm out of here. I don't want to lose all my friends. I don't want to lose my family. I don't want everybody to hate me. I'm out of here. And that's it. Don't do it. If you're lurking and you're thinking it, don't do it. It's a bad idea. It doesn't work. And I promise you, the ripples of negativity are enormous and they go on for years and years and years. So it's better to just live through it and get through it because you will. And most of the people that I know that unalived themselves were between 18 and 25, that age group. So it's a really important age group to just push on through. Just push yourself to get on through it. And I mean it. And you can call me at any time and send me a text. Here's my little text thing. Send me a text and say, I need to talk to you. But you have to talk to me. You can't call me and just hang up. It doesn't work, Osa. It really doesn't. But real people will call me, and they do. And I'm happy to help. All right. Hello, Tori Magoo. Great to see you again. Hi, Good SP. Hey, hi. Is this the real Good SP, or is this somebody pretending to be Good SP? I hope it's the real Good SP. right. Good to see you. Very good to see you. The human brain continues to develop in until about the age of 26, correct? Thank you, Sieglin. You're such a blessing. Hey, good SP, you've got to watch Will's Ish's thing last night. I interviewed him and he said he knows you. And I think you would really like the interview. It was amazing. It really was. The one that was the encampment and barbecue question. Can you just retype the question? Who was that? The one that was, at the encampment and barbecue. Okay. Is there anyone still on here it was early on and they said they were at the they were at the barbecue thing. It was way early on, just so you know. And someone said that I'm going to go to the top. Wow. It's a lot of things on it. Jeez. All right, let's see. Happy Thursday. That's right. Well, it's almost Thursday. It's still Wednesday here. Right? I think it is. I don't know. I thought it was September and it's October. It happens. It happens to me. Mm-hmm. Musa might pass out soon. That's so funny. Okay, as Unstoppable SP, you were in it for 5 years. Okay. Thank you. Kellyanne. Hi, Tori. Oh, yeah, the old knowledge report. Okay, I missed this, Professor Kakan. This says, sorry, but Shelley wrote directly to the Commodore, which is Hubbard, about me, about a technical point she didn't understand herself, and it got you in trouble. That'll happen. So Salty Rider said, so these knowledge reports are just sitting on people, sitching on people that are not having conforming behavior. I guess you could call it that. It's not really that. It's just they're doing something wrong. Like if it says, go to the end of the room and then take a left, and the person goes to the end of the room and takes a right. I mean, that's a bad example, but it's just like if someone is doing something wrong and you know it and you're trained and you go, they're not doing it right. You can either talk to them and just say, like I talked to some kids, they were doing something wrong. And I just said, what are you guys doing? And they said, I don't know. We don't know. We don't understand it. And I said, well, what do you think it is? And they told me, and I said, okay, now look at it again. And Hubbard said there's 3 different ways you can talk to someone. 1, 2, and the third one was talk to them, explain it to them like they're a child. So they were going, okay, so great, Joan. What, exactly how would you do that? And I walked over to him and I said, can I ask you guys a question? Would you ever talk to someone like that? And they looked at me and they said, no, not really. And I said, exactly. I mean, you sound really rude. And they said, yeah. And I said, okay, but they said, but we don't know what he means. And I said, okay, well, think about a child and explaining something that's complicated, but you can make it much simpler. And they went, oh, and I said, exactly. So I had them drill some things that way, and it worked better. Now, if they just kept doing it the creepy way, then I would probably write a KR and say, look, I explained it to them, I drilled it with them, and they're still doing it weird. So somebody else can take it up with them because, I showed them the reference and I drilled it with them and I know what I'm talking about. So anyway, you should come on and talk with Tori about your experience, Professor Kakan. Kelly said, okay. I don't know what his experience is. Oh, you mean about Shelley? Yeah, it sounds like he has a lot of experiences. If you want to do an interview, Professor Kakan, we can talk on the phone first. That's generally what I do. Okay, I'm trying to find this thing about the anonymous, but I don't find it. You'll have to go back and look through it because I'm sorry, I'm spending too much time going through all of the different things. All right, so the one Tori said the person she interviewed knows me. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I couldn't find it. Maybe Kelly can find it while we're talking. The interview you can see on here, on this page. You just go to live, and then it should be the first. You go to Tori Magoo 44 on YouTube. And down below it says live. You click on live, and the first interview at the top should be with Ishmael Bay and Tori Magoo 44. And that's the interview. So that's where you can see it. It's really good. It's long, but it's well worth listening to. Okay, so she just posted the interview. All right. Monday. Yeah, it was Monday. Yeah, it's on the lives. You're very welcome. All right, well, kids, does anybody have any other questions or comments about hope or knowledge reports or anything else you want to say? And remember, Monday night is going to be 11 o'clock at night, our time. I see the confusion, Kelly BC. Thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, so we're going to be on later at night because we get to talk to Alex in London. So there you go. And we are now Wednesday, so Friday, I'm not sure if we're going to be protesting or not. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see what happens on Friday. Usually Friday night is I either do a protest with Drew or it's a later in the evening, like 11 o'clock. But I'm going to do the 11 o'clock on Monday, so I'll probably do it at 8 o'clock on Friday. But I'm not, no, I'll do Friday, I'll do it at 11 still. Yikes. That's 1 a.m. for me. No, Marcy, we already factored in you're not going to come because it's too late for you. I knew that. So don't worry about it. Kelly, I took William Good's name as my YouTube because I have a lot of respect for him. We met in 2024 from February till September. Okay, good. I'll get it, Marcy. I figured you wouldn't be able to make it. Yeah. Yeah, we kind of knew that, Marcy, and that's fine. Thanks for being here once again, Tori. You are welcome, Sieglin. Thank you for your kind comments. And thank you all for coming by. I really appreciate it. Don't worry about it though, really, Marcy. I know it's way too late for you. If I happen to drink too much coffee, I know that used to happen to me, and then I'd be up all night. It was like, oh, forget it. I really put in a little schedule for me in, I think, my early 50s, where it was like 8 o'clock. That was the last cup of coffee I could have. And then it went to 6 o'clock, and then it went to 3 o'clock, and now it's noon. That's it. I don't ever have coffee after noon. Not ever, but hardly ever. Okay, well, if I can be there, I will. And if I happen to, okay, yeah. So if you can, you will. That's fine. But we already factored in you probably won't, because we understand that. Okay, good. June said, good, Monday at 11. I'll be here. Good. The later the better for me here on the East Coast. That's what I thought. So different people will be able to make it, whereas other people might not. Yeah, I have much respect for Streets LA also. I think we all do. You are welcome, Marcy, and thank you. Thank you all for coming by. And today is Wednesday, so I'll see you hopefully Friday night. All right. Peace out. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Eric, thanks for coming back. Have an amazing night. And all love from Culver City, California. Please tell my parents hi. I do miss you, Tori. Thank you. Yeah, please tell your parents I said hi. And again, love to you. And good job. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Yes. And peace out. All right. See ya in the future.